we're going to talk about our High Five program for highway safety. And so this is a program that we started in Kentucky about 2 years ago. And actually, the NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, came to us and they said, would you all be interested? I don't think they finished a sentence, and we said yes. So because if they come to us with an idea, that means they're going to spend their money. And so we're happy to volunteer, and it kind of puts us in the good category. And so with NHTSA, you want to be in that good column. And so it definitely helps out, and I'll explain that in a minute or two. This is from yesterday. This is our daily fatality summary from yesterday. And so you will see that 2024, we have, I don't know if the laser, yeah, okay, 273 compared to 305. And it was a little bit lower. The difference was bigger, but sometimes they add delayed fatality reports. So we're depending on every law enforcement agency to add these crash reports, especially if there are fatalities. And so they added 15 on Monday that were from various points in the year. Could have been January, February, could have been 4 weeks ago. But they do this every once in a while, and so the state police, the FARS administrator or the director, they will do catch-ups throughout the year and make sure that their system matches what the FARS report is, or the daily fatality summary. And so they just did that, and so that's why they added the numbers. So still about 10% lower than last year right now, and so which is a good trend. It's not where we want to be, though. We want to be considerably lower than that. Look at motorcycle, that's trending in the right direction. Non-motorized, which is your bike ped, and so I've talked about that in our previous quarterly meetings. I know Carol talks about that with schools, and that's still high, even though it's slightly lower. It's not very comfortable. That's not a good number, and these numbers, of course, represent people on our highways. All road users are in these figures, and so we look at unbelted or restraint usage, and that's what we're talking about today with this High Five program. So you look at 46% are unbelted fatalities. There are 7 unknown, which we actually have to dig into the reports and see if it mentions whether they're wearing a seatbelt or not. And that's Ed Harding in our office. If you don't know Ed Harding, he will not only tell you about stats, he will tell you how he built the system. And so he created this dashboard, and when NHTSA came in back in February or March, I guess it was March, they do an audit every 3 years. NHTSA, they pay us $8 million a year. They want to see what's going into that, what we're doing, making sure that the monies are being spent properly. So they call it a review. It's an audit, and so they also look at the program, everything we do, not just the financial side, but they look at the programmatic stuff. And so this dashboard, they said it's probably one of the best ones they've seen in the country. And Maryland, they they presented, or they had a dashboard that they released about 2 months before us. And so Maryland came to Kentucky a few months ago. We showed them the dashboard and they said, okay, we like this one better. And because right here, this is one of the reasons we have days without a fatality. And so we have 30 days without a life lost on our highways. So of course we want that to be closer to 365. But, and so that's one of the things they really liked, because it's something positive where you see all these bad numbers, and then you see, okay, there are 30 days where no one was killed on our highways. That's great. I mean, we need that to be higher though. And so on this dashboard, you've got down here at the bottom, you've got different categories. So alcohol involvement, commercial vehicle involvement, which is down a little bit as well. Collision time, motorcycle, non-motorized. It gets into more details of those areas. Restraint usage as well. Your non-motorized, that's bike ped, and that you can break it down by county and so forth. On the bike ped front, Lexington did see a big increase last year over the previous year. And so we've been doing some road safety audits or assessments in Louisville, because Louisville represented over 33% of the bike ped fatalities. Lexington is catching up, unfortunately. And so we're now doing a lot of RSAs in Lexington. And so their numbers did go down last year compared to 2022. And here's the link to the fatality dashboard, which Steve, you can make this public for everybody. So why did they come to Kentucky? This is a rural seatbelt safety program. We have 81% of our roadways are rural. 109 counties are considered rural. Our total seatbelt usage before this program started statewide was 86%. And so here's the map of, we've got plenty to choose from here. And so we not only look at this, which counties are rural, but we have to look at crash data and overlap that. And so we've been a little bit higher than the national average on fatality rate, which is, it's the fatality rate per 100 million miles driven. So I think I may have explained this. Started in Iowa, but NHTSA came to us in Arkansas. And so it may be going to other states after the success we've had. And this is, shoot, my glasses can't even. This is one of our crash maps. So there are dots on this map. This is a very small map. But there you can see the crash data on this map. Okay, this is important. This is Bourbon County. This is one of the first counties. This was in the 1.0 version. Ranked 9th for unbelted fatalities. And so overall, 27th. You don't want to be number one when it comes to highway safety rankings. So after going through this program, the High Five program, which includes not only education, enforcement, but it also includes some engineering. So we utilize UK's Safety Circuit Rider program. And so the safety circuit rider goes throughout the county and looks at low cost or no cost improvements. Those opportunities could be signage, could be markings, street markings, could be growth of trees, shrubs that are blocking maybe views on certain roadways. Usually takes the county judge out, other officials, make sure they might know of areas that need improvements, or they look at crash data and go to that and see if what's on that stretch of roadway. So Bourbon County was 9th. They're now 38th after the first iteration of the High Five. Went from 27th overall to 43rd. Perry County was number 1 in unbelted percentage fatalities. Overall rank was 19th, and this includes every other category to get that overall rank. After the High Five program, 78th. They went from 19th overall to 52nd. So they're technically out of our top 40. We look at top 40 counties, and that's where we spend a lot of the money. However, Perry County has really taken this program and made it their own. And so we're keeping some funding with Perry County. They've got a Towards Zero Deaths initiative, and so we're helping them with that. And so touched on this a little bit. Community outreach. So in July, when we start the High Five 2.0, we're going to have press events the week of July 22nd in Grant County, Lyon County, Pike County, Perry County, and I'm forgetting one. But anyway, that whole week, each day is a different kickoff in those counties. And so they have various people from the community. You have the sheriff's office, you have local law enforcement agency, you have the nearest KSP post. And so we basically give them a grant. And when NHTSA came in, NHTSA actually paid a facilitator directly, and then they paid the sheriff's office, they paid the local law enforcement, KSP, and so they gave them money for their time, for education and enforcement. And so we didn't have to touch those funds at all. Now, on the 2.0, we're spending state funds to keep this program going.
That kickoff, is that a community event that each county would do, or how would they decide to design it for that week?
It is, but it's not, it's certainly welcome to anyone who wants to be there. The media is invited, so it's a media event.
But they're all together out in the community, is that, or how can you explain it a little bit?
Like the one in Perry County, I think we did it at there was a big media room in the courthouse. And so that's where we did that one. And so we had different folks speak, like the sheriff, the KSP representative, and then who else? I think I might have spoken.
And that's just to share about the grant that they received?
That just talks about the program in general. Yep.
So I was wondering, it's a two-part question, but first, do you have a breakdown in terms of data? Like, is this an age-related phenomenon? And in other words, is it younger drivers that are less apt to wear seatbelts than older? What are you finding in terms of that detailed data? And the second one is, do you have any kind of focus group data as to why a person wouldn't wear a seatbelt in front? I mean, what do they say? Like,
Yeah, we do.
okay,
We did a focus group for Buckle Up, Phone Down. So you've seen our signs on the highways, Buckle Up, Phone Down, and that's been a big campaign for us over the past 4 years, 5 years. And so we decided to do a focus group last year. And one thing that, you know, when people admitted that they didn't wear seatbelts or they didn't wear them all the time because they didn't think it was that important and they wouldn't be affected. They wouldn't guarantee they wouldn't wear it unless they knew somebody or they were personally affected by it. And so we're trying to find out like how we can be more effective in our media. That was basically the reason why we did the focus groups, because if we're not sending the right message, we want to know. And so that was the overriding comment that we got was, okay, unless I know somebody that was affected by this, or if I'm affected by this personally, I really don't think about it. It's not that important to me. And so that's unfortunate. I mean, pickup drivers, that's still a big problem. We were down in Perry County. One of the things that they do, they go to a fast food restaurant, they're out by the drive-through. And so as people come in, they're watching, the police officers are watching. I think there was about 5 of them there. And so people, they see that and they're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So the officer sees somebody wearing their seatbelt. They approach the car, person rolls down the window, and they said, since you're wearing a seatbelt, I'm going to give you a coupon for a free sundae. That's assuming the McDonald's ice cream machine is working. So, but I made that joke, and the manager was right there, and he goes, wait a second, hold on, that's a urban legend. And I was like, oh, sure it is, yeah. So, but if they're not wearing a seatbelt, they won't give them a ticket. They will just say, okay, I would have given you a coupon for a free sundae, but you need to wear your seatbelt. And I saw, and I think 2 of them were pickup truck drivers. And I didn't see anybody else not wearing a seatbelt. But one of the drivers said, I don't do that. And he was an older gentleman. And so it's easier for us in the education portion of highway safety to reach younger drivers. They're not, and I don't mean to offend anybody, and because I'm of the age too where, we get set in our ways. And, if somebody hasn't worn a seatbelt for 40, 50 years, they're probably not going to start unless they are personally affected by it. So, and we've got 10% of our population that does not wear seatbelts, according to every survey that UK's done. And so, so the younger drivers are more impressionable. We feel like we can reach them better, and we feel like that's going to change our generational driving behavior. And so we did seatbelt surveys with this program, and here are the results. Went anywhere from a 1.2 increase to over 8%. So Bourbon, Grayson, Knott, Madison, and Perry. And so Perry had almost a 7% increase. And overall, we had a 5.5% if you look at all the total of all the counties. And they did a pre, mid, and post surveys. They did the mid surveys just to make sure we're on the right track for this program. And we are redoing the strategic highway safety plan this year. It will go through 2029. And so with this, we're breaking out the motorcycle safety. And so right now, motorcycle safety is included in the vulnerable road users. And so we're now calling that non-motorized or bike ped, and then motorcycles will be separate category. We're also creating an emphasis area for older drivers, and I'm missing one, commercial vehicles. So we're gonna go from 6 emphasis areas to 9. So some states have over 12. So we thought we didn't want to go that big. I wanted to keep it a little smaller. But we're pretty excited about the High Five. And, when we tell the Secretary's office or executive management about it, they were like, well, why don't we just do it in all rural counties? And I was like, well, money and people. No, but I'm like, well, I better not say that. So we kind of took that as a challenge. And so we already had the High Five 2.0 in progress. And so we're using state monies for that because NHTSA's, that's what NHTSA does. They start you off, and then, it was successful, and but NHTSA pretty much cut you loose after that. So we've actually hired the same third-party administrator to execute this High Five 2.0, and we wanted the consistency. We also kept Perry County in the mix, and so we hope to, decrease, or we hope Perry County keeps going the right direction as far as their ranking, because they've really taken ownership of this. I've been to Perry County 5 times in the past probably 18 months. Before that, I was in Perry County 0 times. I joked I'm gonna have to build or buy a house down there. But what the idea is, as far after the 2.0, is anybody from Louisville or Louisville area? Okay, so we're all old enough. You may not be old enough, but so there's a radio station called High 95. It was back in the 70s. Then it became WQMF. And so before QMF, it was called High 95. And so, I actually wanted to steal their logo. But the idea is not necessarily to have this in 95 counties, but to get the overall seatbelt usage to 95%. That would put us in the top 10 of all states in the country for seatbelt usage, and it will save a lot of lives. I mean, it will, and if we do the math on that, we're probably talking about 200 lives saved if we can get to 95%.
A year.
Correct. Yeah. And so the way to get it into every county is to utilize our current grants and just tweak the model. And yeah. Are you want to do that? Okay. Oh, well, yeah. We'll talk. All right. But we can tweak the model that we have, so we have that kickoff. We have that community buy-in, and also maybe have counties like Bourbon, Perry, and I think maybe, I guess not county, do some peer-to-peer. And so these counties can maybe go there, have a meeting with, let's say, Pike County, and say, okay, here's what we did, here's what worked, here's some things that didn't work. So you might want to, put your efforts into stuff that does, obviously. So have the counties work with other counties. So, but that's the idea, and that's, we're gonna be working on that probably in the next year, because after this 2.0, we're gonna go to that model and call it high 95 instead of high 5. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, well, after, see if anybody has any questions, but I've got another thing. How much time do I have? Am I already over?
No, go ahead.
Okay. We're also doing, and this is per NHTSA, and this is per the authorization, it's the bipartisan infrastructure law. We have to do public participation and engagement. The Office of Highway Safety, we've always done public outreach. They want that tweaked, where we actually get the engagement and we get information from the public, we get their input, and we have to consider the public's input in our programming. We've done one event, we have to do it in underserved areas. And so we look at census tracts that are traditionally underserved, and we look at the crash data. And so we're doing 4 public participation engagement events this year. We did one in Louisville last month. It went okay. We didn't get as many people, and so we're partnering with K-Span. Steve is graciously is partnering with us on the next one, and probably the next 2. And then also the state parks, they're going to be offering, I don't have it, it's not guaranteed yet, but the plan is to have them offer at least one night as we can offer as a door prize. The idea is getting people to the event. Because it's, highway safety is not really a sexy topic that, people want to, spend 2 hours to go to. But we did have about 15 people at the event in Louisville, first one. And so I was pretty happy with that. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know if there would be 2 people there or 100. So, but we got a lot of good feedback. A lot of stuff on infrastructure. So, people were questioning, roadway designs. They're talking about signage and stuff like that. But we did have a few good comments, and we took, Ed was there, of course. He's our data guy. He took pages of notes. I was like, how'd you get that much information? And he just does. I don't know. But anyway, does anybody have any questions? All right. Thank you.